There we go. So this is the introduction to the 2022-23 RE packets. And I'm Katie Covey. I'm the DRE for Soul Matters and your host today. So please introduce yourself in the chat. And Becky, thanks for your note. We always enjoy lurkers and people who just want to join us. So thank you. I have a few slides I want to go through for making it easy. And this shouldn't take more than 45 minutes. That's what I'm thinking when I timed it through. So we aren't going to be here forever. But I do want to also welcome, as we're waiting for folks to get on, our listening audience who are coming to us when they click the link to see this recording. And I'm going to not go into the slides just yet because I want to make sure I see all the people on the waiting list come in and I can click them in. So thank you for your patience. Tell you what, in the chat, why don't you put what the temperature is where you are? I was dealing with two people in the youth research packet, one from Wales, United Kingdom, and one from Fairbanks, Alaska. And we did this little temperature graph, and it was very interesting. They were very similar because, as you know, UK is about the same latitude as Alaska. Oh, 78 degrees, nice. Nice. Southwest Colorado, welcome. Yeah. Yep. Oh, 113 for Katie Cartman. That's not good. We hope you stay inside. Geneva, Illinois has 82. Wonderful. And I think outside right now it's about 80 here in Longmont, Colorado. So I just love it that we can be across the nation. Okay, I think we've stabilized here. I'm going to start the slides and it will give you an overview of what's going on. There we go. So introduction, I always want to remind you that Soul Matters Sharing Circle is a place where we give you curated resources so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. That's really important. My work for 35 years as a DRE, I started realizing we're all working so hard and so many of us come from this background where we have to do it ourselves. And there really is such a depth in what we are doing together that I want to re-emphasize that we are here to help you so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So I wanted to do the brand new stuff first, just so our old timers like Katie Cartman in Houston knows exactly what she can expect coming into our new year. We have two new programs, entirely new. Becoming is our Soul Matters Coming of Age for the general group of 9th and 10th. And we have a whole new section of packets called In the Middle. So this, let me tell you, when I was growing up UU, my middle school teachers, Mr. Means and Mr. Wendell, they're the ones that kept me going because this is the transition in age from the family's going to church, kids, let's get in the car, to high school youth group where you have your beloved peer group, if you're lucky enough to do that. This is your transition age. And so we feel that it's important to have dedicated middle school packets because they need something special and we so ignore them. So there you go. In the packet that you're going to get, the RE packet for 2nd through 5th grade, there will be a new thing, which will be a chalice lighting crowdsourced document. We do this now and then, and it's just a place to dump your favorite chalice lighting in. And if that's intimidating, don't worry, because we also provide you with some suggestions. The one I have used for, 20 years is we light this chalice for the warmth of love the light of truth and the energy of action. And that's just in my brain, and it always is useful for pulling it out. And that's in the book, in the packet too. Brand new also is our soul work table section in the RE packets. You can find this down at the end of the packet. This is for our multi-platform people, our multi-gen people. Maybe you only have 4 kids that Sunday. And many of our congregations are going into providing a table in the sanctuary so that all ages can do some quiet activities while the sermon is going on. So we decided it was important enough, since we're in this who knows what's going to happen time where, you know, are the children going to come back? Question mark, question mark. That soul mark table is proving to be an important piece. So that's what's brand new. We in Soul Matters write for you to use our work like building blocks, just like Legos. You use it the way you want and need. You might want a cookbook curriculum. That's my term for something that's help. I've never done this before. What do I do? Or something that you can just give it right to your volunteers. You can do each section in order. But you may also have several neurodiverse children. And the idea of sitting through a story isn't going to work. And so you can do like April does in Taunton, Mass. And she reads the story while doing one of the Explore It active things. So use it the way you want and need. These are building blocks. And you probably know, but maybe not, I want to re-emphasize that we are doing thematic ministry in Soul Matters. That means the entire congregation explores one theme per month. That means in small group, you're asked those deep heart questions. That means when you're in preschool, you blow away your tissue paper for studying impermanence at the same time that your parents heard a sermon on impermanence from the worship packets. Notice my next 2 words, or not. Some people just subscribe to one packet. They might only get the small group packet, or they might only get the RE packet. They can stand alone. It's just not thematic ministry, and that's okay. Thematic ministry does take collaboration with staff and leadership. It's interesting to hear all the different permutations of how a congregation uses Soul Matters. Sometimes the entire staff will sit down with the RE packet, the minister, the RE leader, and the music person, and base the sermons on that march of lenses through the RE packet. Sometimes the minister and the DRE won't talk to each other at all. It happens. We do the best we can. Variations are us. This year, we are putting even more stories in it because we know this is family ministry, is a story-based ministry. So you will get a story or stories in each session. I try not to put in more than 3 because I want to be clear. Here's the 3 best, or here's the 1 best story to use for this session. Then there are more stories in the back part, Children's Chapel and Family Ministry suggestions. There is a list of picture books from the sessions. That's so if you are the kind of staff that sits down, or leadership that sits down and say, okay, shall we use the picture book from session 1 as the For All Ages story? Yes, here it is. We want to make that collaborative planning easy. In addition, there are more picture books written in a different section underneath that part. Thirdly, there's wisdom tales from all different cultures to use in Children's Chapel or Family Ministry. And fourthly, there are what we call message moments. Now, I'm a proponent of leaving the picture books behind every once in a while and do something different. It might be bringing a sparkler out when you talk about the Big Bang and belonging to the universe. It might be a little role play. The one I saw that I loved the most was the role play where the algae and the fungus were talking to each other from thegreatstory.org. And these were two humanists in our congregation, and they really hammed it up. Those are the kinds of moments that I encourage, not just picture books, own them, own the stories. We are having more ARAOMC resources. We continue to use a research team of highly qualified religious educators. We're calling them the Widening the Circle Research Team. Again, this will be their second year. They've done so much searching. They did a workshop for our Soul Matters subscribers last year. They bring us such a depth for our research that will continue to provide us research on the best resources that are out there for our themes and for our children. As a segue, I want to mention also we're moving into environmental justice this year as well. We don't have a research team for that yet. We do have these 4 building blocks for each session. I want to say there's a beginning of each session that's called the theme angle. That's really what we're trying to get at in adult language. And after the theme angle, then we go into the light it, which is the chalice lighting. And that's where the crowdsourcing link lives. Introduce it, that's a Wonder Box framework. For instance, you might, for courage, I just finished the courage packet for October, and I said, find a hard rock for the Wonder Box, because this is a hard rock. But there's another way to think about it, and that is finding the courage to do a hard thing is like a hard rock. So that's your reflection object connection. Then there's the story time. We call it Tell It and Talk About It, because we really work hard on those reflection questions after each story or stories. And then there's the Explore It section. That's full of building blocks. And it's a variety of things depending on what you might like. The Explore It section has oftentimes something outdoors. Oftentimes there's a couple meditations in this packet. There might be a craft. It depends on what works best for children to explore this theme. This is also where your multi-platform purple stuff will be if you are doing Zoom. Let me give you some examples. For courage, so say you're doing session 1. I just finished writing it, so it's on the top of my brain. There's a game called Pin the Path on the Mountain. It's like pin the tail on the donkey. It's the idea that there are many paths of courage, not just the first one, which might be the superhero. There's the inner courage. There's the wholehearted courage. There's the social courage of taking action, and the personal courage of doing hard things. These ideas are curated from the Widening the Circle research team, the Brainstorm Labs. Katie's a regular, Jenny Papp's a regular. And we also have a youth packet research team for our high school youth packet. Okay, let's see. We are doing multi-platform. The multi-platform suggestions are in purple. I hope we don't have to do a lot of Zooms. We're so tired of it. but I want to provide options, so they will be in purple. And in addition, we're aware that maybe 21st century faith formation is going to look like signing in from wherever you are. Maybe your aunt in Maryland is going to come to your program in Ohio, and make this a very open Zoom plus in-person format. I can see possibilities for that. Maybe we need a little time before we go into this, because we're sort of tired of Zoom, and the school people are saying it's not really a learning format that's powerful enough. But I think it would be fun to see what happens with that. In gratitude, thank you. Once again, I don't want you to have to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to come back here to all of us, and I'm going to ask if there are any questions about the 22-23 Soul Matters RE packets, about Soul Matters, or about anything you want to ask.
Katie, I have a question. It's Janet Murphy from San Luis Obispo, California. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Welcome.
Welcome. Sorry, I can't turn my camera on today. I'm having some computer issues, so I'm on an iPad and it doesn't have the photo capacity right now. So I apologize for that, because I don't.
No problem.
Okay. My question is, we are often still using videos instead of, picture books, because we got used to that during Zoom, and my minister really likes that. So sometimes he uses them during the service, and then sometimes we're still using them in RE, not as much, but sometimes. But my question is that when you select the story, the video of the story, is there a specific reason that you select the ones you do? Do you have permission or something? I'm just curious, because often the stories, like when I look them up on YouTube, have other versions, like done by other people. And sometimes they're shorter or more concise, or, and I'm just curious, like, I don't want to get in trouble for using what I'm not supposed to. But we try to keep ours really short because we have a very young group. So if I can find the same story read by someone else who's, say 2 minutes shorter, I'm tempted to use that one. So that's my question.
Good question. And I sensed a two-part question. It's how I pick the video and what to do about copyright and using it in a service.
Perfect.
Okay, so first part, the copyright. Scott and I had to think long and hard about this. As usually, like in the past online packets, we were going to the school library journal source and writing, here's how to get the copyright permission from these various publishers, from Harcourt Brace, from Lerner and Lowe, those kinds of publishers. Those have been taken down from the web. The school library journal no longer gives us access to what publishers are saying, and publishers are no longer granting access. Most of their articles, if you go into the sources, say this is good through June of 2021, or maybe I have not seen any dates that say anything about 2022. So publishers are not giving permission for a book to be read online, believe it or not. And yet you go online and there's all these books online. So what's happening? Yes, and Katie's saying a few publishers are still okay as long as it is unlisted. Thank you for the clarification. What that means is, as long as it's not a publicly posted permanent video of your service that includes this section of a book on video, then many times it's okay to put that as part of your service, but then not make it public and not keep it up. The other thing is, it's perfectly okay to show the video on a laptop to the children. You're not recording it. It's just you doing this. So that's permission. So we are no longer putting any online permission information in our packets, because we're assuming our congregants are not using them in public ways. Second part of the question, I think that answers pretty much what we found out. Second part of the question about using the videos. Yes, I see a few will be like, some will be, the story will be 8 minutes on this one read aloud, and then the next one has 4 minutes. Usually in my experience, when I go through all those, it's because you have a chatty storyteller. This person is not going to just walk through the book, which is what I try to look for. They're going to sit there and say, oh, look at how pretty this little guy's shirt is, or, you know, something like that. I try not to get the chatty ones. So I'm not quite sure what the different versions are that you've seen up posted in the packets, but that's my goal. And I also try to get ones that are clear, that are mostly about the book, not about, you know, the storyteller or who's doing this, who's doing that. And I put the video in there because that's the way I tell what this story is all about. So it's also a tool for you leaders to say, oh, I'll just watch this video, and then I know if I want to buy the book or look for it in the library, you can see what the book is all about. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's exactly, because that's what I do is I look at the video to see if it's the story that we want to use. And then just because I know we're trying to do, you know, keep the attention of our littles, I try to find a short version, as you're saying, that often zooms into the pages, doesn't show all the peripheral background, and doesn't have someone who's yakking it up for 10 minutes.
Yes. And oh, go ahead, Janet.
Yeah, I just wanted to check strategy wise, because I didn't know if you had a connection to certain of those read aloud people, you know, like a lot of them do many. So I thought maybe there was a connection there somehow. So that's perfect. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Janet. Good questions too. One other comment I'll make is some of my training as a storyteller was to read the book and then count to 10 silently and not fill the space with chatting, so that the children can bring forth their own thoughts. And then finally ask the reflection questions. Well, what was your favorite? You know, what will you remember most about that story? But to let the silence allow their voices to emerge. Here's a great little, we had a great time reading Stone Soup, says, I can't see the chat. Oh, it's Becky, and she doesn't have audio. So I'll share this. And providing props to congregants. As the story was narrated, people brought up their ingredients and put them in the pot. It was very interactive and fun. Yes, that's a great example of family ministry. And you know, if you talk about sensory ministry, the wafting of that soup, I used to do the same thing as it cooks and is getting ready to be served. It's just incredible. Yes, thank you for sharing that. I'm looking at my notes to see if there was any other little things. I don't have anything else. I encourage each of you to go to the link for our crowdsourcing Google Doc on chalice lightings and share the little gems that you find that you want to use over and over. And also, since we shared all the temperatures of where we were, have a great day and hope you don't get too hot or too rained on or too chilly. So unless there are any other questions, I wish for you the best, and I hope to see you during the year. Thank you.